Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Ginger. Welcome to the book club series part of this channel where we read a book by a Black author every single month and we read pages of that book every single week. And by the end of the month, we discuss the book in its entirety. Okay, so welcome back y'all. How y'all doing? I hope y'all doing well. Can we agree that we're a little sick of me at this moment? I always say in my intro that every week, like, I'm gonna show up. You know, we're gonna show up every week, read chapters every week. That's my vision for this book club. And I know I've been slacking a little bit, a lot of it, by showing up like 2 times to 3 times a month. And just know it's not with ill intention. I'm really pushing a lot to show up this year. I'm knowing 2 months that my 1-year anniversary for this book club is coming up, so yay! And this book club, I read so many more books than I would usually read, that I would read in my lifetime. So the fact that God blessed me with this, you know, like idea to come up with this book club, and it really improved my quality of life. And the books that I've read forever will impact me in such a positive, fruitful way. You know, so with all that being said, y'all, again, as I mentioned in previous videos, if you've been here from the beginning, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Y'all don't even know how much I appreciate y'all. Like, every time I upload a video, and to see that even one person or more than one person views it literally makes my heart smile. So I appreciate y'all, and I just wanted to, you know, get that out for y'all. So with all that being said, let's get into it, okay? This book, Tabitha, girl, you are an angel. Like, you are the fairy godmother that we've been like yearning for all these years. You're the fairy godmother we didn't even know we needed in this world. This book, I'm glad you titled it Feeding the Soul, because you really poured your soul into this. Like, amazing. 10 out of 10, 20 out of 10. I know we mentioned before to read chapters 1 through 20. Yeah, it took so much out of me to not finish this book because it's so good, okay? I had to break it in parts. I had to really refrain myself from not finishing this book, because I can literally finish this book in one sitting because it is so bomb, okay? Bomb. We're gonna go straight into it. So with 1 through 20, all the chapters really stood out to me, but one in particular checked the hell out of me. And it's funny because it's one of the shortest chapters, but it shook me to my core, and that's chapter 16. But before we get into that, I want to just show some appreciation to the detail and how beautifully written this book was. Everything was so intentional, like from how the chapters like start out. Like, for example, like, not only did she have the title of the chapter, but she had a quote that usually pertains to what the chapter is about, like the message the chapter is going to be about. And it shows you, like, man, this woman has a great purpose. Like, she is meant to be here. Okay, that woman is meant to be here, to be a part of our lives, to influence our lives, to drop some gems, which she dropped way too many for me to even count, okay? And it's just amazing and so admirable. Like, this book is so beautifully executed. Like, Tabitha, you did your thing, girl. Like, she did that. I think we all can agree. For those, if you're watching my video and you're reading this book with me as well, you know. Okay, so with all that being said, upon the many things that I admire about this book, one thing that stood out to me the most was her sharing her gift as a dreamer and having these visions. And, you know, most people, when you tell them these things, maybe like now, I'm glad that we live in a time now where we're more open to like spirituality and visions and all that stuff. But like, there was a long period of time for most of our lives where people will look at you different or look down on you. Until this day, you still have some people that look down on you or just kind of they take your word for a grain of salt anytime you discuss these things that you may experience in your life that's far beyond the physical, you know. And when she shared her gift and of being a dreamer, meaning like you have dreams that usually foretell like certain things in the future, or you may and it doesn't necessarily like the future of the world, but it could be like the people around you, family, friends, maybe people you come across in life, you know. I know particularly there was a situation where there was a coworker where she had a dream where she was a manager at I think it was like Macy's or one of a department store, and one of her employees, she had like a vision that I guess she got her fingers cut off or something along the lines of that. And Tabitha was just so hesitant to tell this to her because it's not an employee she usually talks to that much, and Tabitha expressed that she wasn't a close enough situation for her to freely share this information without the employee maybe feeling some type of way, like, oh, this is weird, you know. Like, imagine if your boss like comes to you and says, I had a dream that this happened to you, and it's like, okay. But in this situation, thankfully, when she approached this coworker and told her about this, which took Tabitha a couple of days because, you know, she didn't know what it quite meant and she was afraid of how it may come off. And she also discusses how much prior to that, how much she wished that gift away, which I could completely relate to because I come from a family of dreamers. My grandmother, a lot of dreams that she had literally saved our lives, and by our I mean my mom's and me. Like, I wouldn't exist if my grandmother didn't listen to her dreams or follow certain dreams and visions that she had. And even to this day, like, I'm a very strong dreamer. I dream about a lot of things that are very odd that come to life, but you know, it leads me to like, it keeps me on my path, you know. I understand like my purpose more, and also at times it could be a blessing to like others, you know. And in this case with her, she was absolutely a blessing to that employee. So when she confronted that employee, she told her, like, this is the dream that I had, you know, just kind of check it out, you know, maybe go see your doctor, whatever the case may be. And, you know, that coworker, so there was some time that passed that she explained in the story where she had to go fly to NC to take care of her mom because she was sick. And when she had came back, she hasn't seen this employee for a while. So when she had came back, the employee came back to her bald, and you dropped her knees to her and started crying and saying like, yo, you saved my life. She found out that when she went to make an appointment and go to the doctor that same day that Tabitha told her about the dream, I could say the vision, she had stage 4 cancer, and she thanked Tabitha for that. So it's situations like that just reminds me how real God is, and how like we all have our gifts, and it may sound ridiculous because of how society may have shaped our ideas and how we perceive things, and I just think it's just beautiful that she is blessed with that gift, you know, and she was brave enough to even share that, you know what I mean? There's so much that, you know, Tabitha shared with us in this book, man. Like, I had no idea, you know, she often talks about like what led to her veganism, and it came from like her having a sharp pain one day, but we never knew where that sharp pain stemmed from. So she had gotten to a car accident when she was really young that, you know, kind of that plays this domino effect of her continuously having this pain from her neck down. And it's so ironic because when she told the story about how she got into the accident, when she, you know, it was one random day where she was dropping off one of her family members to work. And on her way back, she wanted fried chicken so bad, and she wanted to take this back road to go get it. But that back road led into her, you know, getting into a very huge accident that still affects her to this day. Just so ironic, you know. How is it that an accident that I went to go get chicken for turned around to leading me to leaving that alone? And the opposite of that lifestyle is what made you like, is what helped you and blossom and made all your dreams and really your purpose come into fruition. You know what I mean? Like, it's just amazing, because it just shows you how God really works in like mysterious ways. And some things, you know, in life may happen to us and it just makes no goddamn sense. You hear me? It makes no sense. But, you know, it's just so beautiful how like years later, how things, you know, just every little thing that happens in your life, it leads to your purpose, or it ties into like the many blessings that are yet to come. And it just shows you how, like, again, just how beautiful and how God works. I thought that was beautiful, y'all. And like, there's just so many gems she shared. Her experience with coworkers, her experience with family. You can tell she's a very self-reflective person. And usually people who are really, really self-reflective tend to be filled with a lot of wisdom to give. And that leads me to chapter 16, which is a chapter that checked me. Remember I told you the chapter that checked me? It checked me, y'all. Like, chapter 16 checked me. Okay, so I'm gonna turn to that page. Let's turn. Okay, let me find this page, y'all. All right, so chapter 16, I'm just gonna read the page. It's gonna be short and cute, but I want you to get an idea of why this chapter checked your girl, okay? So chapter 16 is called Strong and Wrong. It says, you are not obligated to win. You're obligated to keep trying to do the best you can every day. And that's by Marian Wright Edelman. So she begins the chapter and says, have you ever felt so strongly about something that every fiber of your being said it was true? And then you learn that you are 1,000% wrong? Ooh, I know how that feels, but let me help you with it. Nobody can tell you how you feel, okay? Know that. But you can feel strongly about something and still be wrong. Yes, your feelings are valid. They are. But just because your feelings are valid doesn't mean the way you express those feelings is always right. It is so important that we recognize the difference between being right and being caught up in our feelings. You know what, Tabitha? Ain't nobody tell you to read me like that. Okay, but it's true. It's so true. And I think this is one of the things I struggle with the most. Especially if you have very strong and good intuition, and 9 times out of 10 you are right about a lot of situations. But, you know, just like anybody, we're human. We're not always right about everything. And I'm at a point in my life where I've noticed a pattern, and it used to help me in the past, you know. It used to help me be discerning of situations and not get caught up in things, because, you know, I followed my intuition, and what I felt, I was like, yeah, I know this is not right. I know what type of person you are. I see your true colors. I know what you meant by that. I peeped that slick stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a defense mechanism. It gets to a point where it could turn against you. And it can block your blessings. You know, it can really hinder you from like really living. And that's what I got from that, because she went on into the chapter. It's a very short chapter. She went on into the chapter and talked about the divorce between her parents and how that devastated her, and how she blamed her stepmom for the separation of their parents, when in all reality it was just differences, you know, in the marriage. It took Tabitha to be married later on in life in her to realize, like, listen, I'm over here blaming, you know, this woman who had nothing to do with the separation of my parents, but because, you know, she looked at her family like they were perfect. She explained in the chapter how they used to watch like the Cosby Show, and she used to, you know, say like, oh, that's my family, like we're perfect, you know, this is like, you know, everything. But then when that kind of all but that all shattered when her parents, that image of what she deemed what a perfect family was, shattered when her parents divorced. So she was so angry, and she explained that she couldn't be mad at her parents, so she needed somebody to blame. And it was her stepmom. And she said she wasn't really disrespectful, but she never allowed her to get close to her. When you make a prejudgment on something and you don't necessarily discuss it, and just because you may feel so strongly about something, you know, doesn't necessarily mean that you're right. Like, unless you have that discussion, or you talk about it, or you confront it, you know. And sometimes we can get so caught up in our feelings and our intuition that we, you know, psych ourselves and make it seem like and tell ourselves that's the end all be all, you know, when it can actually be the opposite when we, you know, learn to take that chance to have a conversation to see if that's what it is. You know, the worst thing that can happen is that you're right. You know what I'm saying? Really, you're right. And I think we're so afraid to confront situations. In my particular experience, that's my problem, is that when somebody maybe does something, or I people behavior that's a little off, or maybe I misinterpret something, and I'm so stronghold about what the result of that is, and like, this person did it on purpose, or they know what they're doing. And in actuality, you know, sometimes you may be right, but then at times you may be wrong. And you know, that calls for you to confront and to express that emotion. Like, we're not meant to hold those things in. Like, you're holding a grudge, you know. That's essentially what it is that you're holding a grudge. And we all know in life that holding grudges, it just does more harm to you than whoever you're holding a grudge against. And that's basically what Tabitha explained in this chapter. And that, you know, after so many years, when she realized, like, you know, it just didn't seem right to, you know, hold this against her stepmom. Tabitha had explained that she had called her stepmom and expressed to her how she felt, and she apologized for being distant and not allowing them to develop a close relationship because of what she thought separated her family, when in actuality it was just her parents just naturally not working out. Everybody, you know, every marriage is not going to last. You know, it's not always, separations are not always due to infidelity or whatever case may be. It's just some people just grow out of love, or there's so many differences that there can't be a middle ground to be met in order to sustain the union, you know? So she learned through her marriage how difficult it was, and how there was many moments where, like, that could have been an option, but because you know, it was a choice Tabitha and Chance, her husband, made to stay together. And when she came to that understanding, and you know, I just think it was so brave of Tabitha to call her stepmom and to apologize. And now they have a great relationship. And she mentioned that she even made a video, I think on Instagram, with her, which is beautiful, you know, because life is short. You know what I mean? And like, again, holding grudges or just holding things against people, and especially if they're unaware, or why, or they're just unaware, period, what's going on, it's just, it does more harm than good. And I said this checks me because I have a lot of situations like that in my life. And really, to me, it's just a defense mechanism. But I'm learning that I just have to have those uncomfortable conversations, you know, and not only for them, but for me, so I can create more peace in my life. You know what I mean? So I'm just so grateful that Tabitha shared that story. That means a lot, amongst many other stories that she shared that are filled with gems and just life lessons that, you know, that help you grow and continuously evolve in this life. There's so much more I want to say. I still have to get better at like explaining things and expressing myself and what I love and what I learned, because it was 20 chapters. So you can imagine how much like that I took in. And man, just, you know, I just want to say with this book is that Tabitha almost makes you feel like You know, like you have a therapist, mentor, and friend, like, and a fairy godmother, again, all in one. You know what I mean? And it's so relatable, it's so reflective, it's just amazing. Like, it's so insightful, like inspirational. It's just a beautiful blend of it all. Cannot wait to finish this. Like, I may finish this tonight. This book is it. Like, if you came across this video and you haven't purchased the book yet, please purchase it. Like, if you can't have a physical copy, go to Audiobook, whatever you can, just please, like, this book is worth having. I can say, even before finishing, I can say this is in my top 3 favorite books. This kind of book also reminds me of my favorite, actually, to this day. It's called The Spirit of Intimacy. It's actually the first book that I read for this channel, and it's almost like that because it's filled with wisdom. It's one of those books that you can go to where it feels like, you know, no matter what, there's a situation that speaks out to you, or if you need kind of like a reminder or a refresher about things in life, or some inspiration or encouragement. It's just one of those, like, that has real essential and vital just information, and just and it's just a book full of wisdom. You know what I mean? Like, it's timeless. Like, this book is timeless, you know. And I can say those are my top 2 at this point. With all that being said, y'all, let me know your thoughts. Tell me what y'all think. What chapters stood out to you the most? What message hit you the most? You know, again, chapter 16 checked me real quick. Other chapters checked me too, but I'm just gonna share that for now. But yeah, tell me your thoughts. Please write in the comments, discuss what you think, what things stood out to you, what stories inspired you the most, or what questions you may have, you know. I think she did a good job at being very thorough with her sharing her story and tying in the message into it, and she did a really good job of doing that. So with all that being said, y'all, before I end that, so since we read chapters 1 through 20, we're gonna finish out the book. The next video that you see, it should be by the end of this week, okay? Fingers crossed, it will be by the end of this week, okay? Where I do a final review of this book. So again, thanks for watching, y'all. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.